Construction is also third worst polluting industry in the world, only after oil and gas. All the waste we generate with construction, all the cement that causes CO2. We really thought of that 3D printing can address, exactly check all those boxes. We print a module, basically exterior of the house, in one day, where traditionally it takes months, right? So it's much faster. We use no lumber, no metal, no roofing material. Instead, we use a combination of recycled plastic and fiberglass.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Eat, Sleep, Invest. I'm your host, Brian Driscoll, and I'm here with Gene Eidelman. What's going on, Gene?
Hey, Brian. How are you doing? Great to see you.
Hey, likewise. Thanks for coming on. So Gene deals in the real estate space a little bit different than we normally talk about, though. So, hey, Gene, why don't you give everybody a little background on what you do and also how you got into this space?
Yeah, so I've been building and developing real estate for 30 plus years. And 5 years ago, started a company with a young business partner of mine. And our goal was to figure out how to build faster, less expensive, and with less environmental impact. We had no idea about 3D printing or what we're doing now. We just literally had 3 bullets on our blackboard. Then COVID struck 6 months later, and now we had plenty of time. We were just 2 of us sitting in the office. Our construction jobs were going on, but we were thinking, how are we going to accomplish this? And so, sure enough, 2 years ago, started Azure Printed Homes, where we actually printed our first unit and printed another one, and then started delivering last year.
Now, that's pretty cool. So you're actually 3D printing the homes.
Yeah. So, there's been very little innovation in the construction area. 100 years ago, there was a guy with a hammer and a nail trying to build a home. Today, still done the same way, right? Compare this to autos, where we had the horse and the buggy 100 years ago, and now we drive electric vehicles. So just very little innovation. Construction is also third worst polluting industry in the world, only after oil and gas and autos. All the waste we generate with construction, all the cement that causes CO2, on and on. And so it was just, we really thought of that 3D printing can address, exactly check all those boxes. We print a module, a basically exterior of the house, in one day, where traditionally it takes months, right?
Yeah.
So it's much faster. We use no lumber, no metal, no roofing material. Instead, we use a combination of recycled plastic and fiberglass. When you touch it, it feels like cement because fiberglass adds rigidity. But materials we're using are much less expensive than your traditional construction. We can do curves. Most of the construction, most of the homes are squares or rectangulars because 2x4 limit us what we can do, right? Whenever you see a building, usually a commercial building, has some curves, it triples the cost of construction and increases waste. We actually love to do curves because 3D printer doesn't know any, but it moves faster with curves than when doing straight corners. We're basically reusing waste. Just the numbers for the, I kind of knew a little bit that there's a lot of waste, but in US, we generate 40 million tons of plastic every year, and only 2 million gets recycled. So all of the rest goes into landfills, ends up in oceans. It's just a mess. All of us collect this empty water bottles. We think that something gets reused. We spend more energy sorting the 5% that's reused right now than if we just throw it all away. So really, just the more you understand the issues that are involved, and of course, developing real estate my whole adult life, I just know that, for us to meet, we have 3 to 10 million units shortage in US right now because of interest rates, just cost of construction, permitting. But around the world, I've been on 3 other continents in the last 5 weeks. Asia, Europe, Africa. There is 1.6 billion homes short. It's wars, it's earthquakes. In Turkey, they lost 270,000 homes last year. In Hawaii, we lost 2,200 homes. We will lose homes by thousands and tens of thousands, and we're making them at a very slow pace. So We got to do something to make a difference.
This is interesting too, for multiple reasons. I'm looking here too. I have a water bottle sitting right on my desk. What you're just talking about. Just going to go in the landfill, right? So you're talking now, what do? Do you 3D print these on site and then ship them?
We 3D print them in our factory. What that allows us to do compared to 3D printing with cement on site, a couple of things. First of all, we work 24/7. I work 24/7 and the printer works even longer than me, right? So that's number one. Number two, cold, rain, hot, doesn't matter. If you're on site, in addition to the guys having nothing to do, now you have this expensive machinery sitting there that has nothing to do. Finally, and probably most importantly, is quality assurance. We have less and less of qualified construction workers in this country, and actually it's all over the world. So it's one thing to kind of hoping that your guys are doing the right thing and doing it right versus filming and it's happening right. So a lot more quality assurance happens when it's in a controlled environment. And then, of course, the 3D printing on site that many of us have seen videos, they're using cement. Now, they're trying to minimize the environmental impact of cement, but cement, just chemistry of producing cement, produces CO2. That's what produces CO2 in the process. So using something that produces CO2 versus using something that's a waste is just a non-brainer. Again, during COVID, 3D cement printing got a lot of publicity because lumber prices were so much higher. So people who were 3D printing cement were saying, well, now it's less expensive. But now lumber prices are to pre-COVID levels. And we're lower than that, but cement is now more expensive. So yeah, just a variety of reasons why what we're doing, I think, makes a lot more sense. And we probably couldn't have done it without cement 3D printing. It started maybe 7 years ago, but I see it's like evolution. That was a first step to get us to where we are now.
So walk me through this, though. So you're sitting there thinking what you want to do. How did you get into, like, from before to being like, you know what, I'm going to 3D print houses? Like, what happened?
And sometimes I wake up from a dream and I say, are we actually doing it or was it just a dream? It actually happened kind of, there was not a kind of a mission, let's 3D print homes, because when we started this, we really just had I honestly, we're not 3D printing engineers who decide how to get into construction. We're construction guys. We're real estate guys trying to figure out a solution how to do this better, right?
Right.
So it really kind of evolved. I love the videos, just like many of us see these videos of 3D printed houses, and I just love the curves and how it's done faster. But then as I started digging into it, I said, well, we love the 3D printing, but just don't like to do it on site, don't like to do it with cement. So it really just step by step. Our first step was, can we find equipment off the shelf? Is there equipment that we can just bring in our factory and print it? And the answer was no. Okay, how can we get over it? And then once some people give ideas, it's all right, what material are we going to use? It's like, the first material we ran, it was like a total disaster. It was leaking. It's like, because we melt the pellets. We get the material in these pellets and put them through these are what called extruder. It basically melts the material so it can layer it. The best example, it's like using a toothpaste, to put layer by layer.
Okay.
If the previous layer is too liquid, the next layer that goes on it really leaks off. It's kind of a mess. If it's too solid, then the next layer doesn't stick to it. So it needs to be just right. So really, as time went on, the trick to this science is more in the material than in the equipment. It's like there is now a lot of 3D printers, but getting the formula down that on one hand, it can work in this environment. On the other hand, it can meet regulations, because that's another big difference between doing it on factory versus on site. If you do it on site, you have to go to every building department. There are over 20,000 building departments in this country. You have to convince every bureaucrat in the building department that this will work, right? When you are considered factory manufacturer, then you are overseen by the state. So now the task is from going to 20,000 building departments, going to 50 state departments. And what you find is that at a state level, there is much more of a big thinking because states like California, Colorado, Arizona, Texas, dealing with such big housing shortages that you find people on the state level can think bigger and say, yeah, we will consider alternative materials. Just show to us that what you're going to build is going to meet. A lot of it is fire. It's issues like fire, to make sure that it's the same or better for fire suppression, hurricane winds, earthquakes, snow loads. So those are the 4 things that we said, again, being contractors, that it's not just nice to be able to print it, it's nice to get a permit.
Right.
Permit, financed, and insured. So that's what we started. It was really reverse engineering in the sense, can we make a structure that will meet all those criteria and then all those other advantages?
That's interesting. So I'm over here in Pittsburgh, and our winters get really cold, but then you have places like Arizona that get really hot. Do you use the same material for everywhere in the country, or is it specific?
Yeah, the material is the same, but the beauty of 3D printing is for Arizona, of course, where it gets real hot, the requirement here for this with the state is R30 insulation in the roof, R19 in the wall, and like on the bottom is you usually have a slab, right? We print, our standard structure is R30 all the way around. So it actually is very well insulated. They're also very quiet because good insulation means quietness. But if you are, let's take more extreme example than Pittsburgh. Let's take Canada, Massachusetts, where it gets really cold for a long time, right? Now we can leave more space between the printed for the outside wall, and we'll also print a wall for the inside. By leaving 3 more inches, we can put R19 more of insulation. So we can produce a unit that's R49 versus R30 with literally making small adjustment on the printer and pushing the button. So we can really customize much better for different climates. For snow loads, again, our Arizona, California model has more of a flat roof. They look very cool, very modern. But for Pittsburgh, we want to do an A-frame. And again, it's now a matter of, we have a couple pieces of software. One kind of takes it from architectural drawing to what the computer can understand. Another one that controls 5 pieces of equipment in our printer. And we're going from a flat roof to A-frame. As we grow around the country, we're going to have even more. So our first location is here in Los Angeles. We raised over $5 million last year to really build state-of-the-art facility here, state-of-the-art facility in LA. But our next one is going to be going in Colorado. Colorado has 8 microclimates. They get so those units made there is going to be more targeted toward heavier snow loads.
Now, are people ordering all over the U.S.? And how do you ship them?
Yeah, they're very light. So that's another thing. Another big thing, our advantage is it's much lighter than your traditional manufactured housing. Of course, much lighter if it would be made from cement, right? We have 2 units. We either have a unit that goes on the foundation, so we just put in a flatbed truck, 1 or 2 of them. The unit that's 180 square feet, that's our most popular model. It's like a 9x20, weighs 12,000 pounds. It weighs less than a pickup truck. So we actually have a pickup truck that I have a unit right now in Nashville, and it's traveling tomorrow from Nashville to Virginia, and it's going to be pulled by a F-250.
Yeah.
They're very light. And then when we get to site, if there is a place to bring it over on the side of the house, or, we do that. But it's also very light, so we can have a crane, the same small crane that, installs jacuzzis in people's backyards. It can pick up that unit and put it in the backyard. So they're very portable, and we are really interested to take this global. So right now for the US, don't worry that we're in California. You can order it, and your shipping cost is going to be, like a small fee. We're going to be, we work with a great logistic company, and they are very creative on how to lower the cost. But I want to get more of our units out there. So we now have units going to Texas and Florida and Tennessee. And I want to get more of them out there because people want to come and see it. When you build something on your property, you're going to want to kick the tires. And that makes sense. I would do the same thing. So we want to get the units out around the country, and so that people get more comfortable with it. And people love them. We have great testimonials on our website of people who bought them in all kinds of climates, hot, cold. Had a customer in Big Sur, and Big Sur had its first hurricane wind, and it was still just great. It's a glamping resort, so a lot of the tents and other structures didn't do as well.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So you said now, do they come in different sizes, or is it just one size?
No, we have different sizes. Really, if you go to our website, from as small as 100 square feet, like a 9 by 11, to these are modules. So we have 100, 120, 180 square feet modules, but you can put 8 of them together. So you can create from a small backyard studio, for people who actually we have several people who have podcasts from them in their backyard, right? So something like that to a 1,500 square feet home. They basically come together as Legos. And so, yeah, lots of variety. And the other thing is, while you're on the website, you can do your own configuration. It's like buying a Tesla car. You can pick color and lighting and all of this. In less than 30 minutes, you can configure your unit. It'll be custom for you.
That's cool. Everyone listening too, I'm going to give you the website now. It'll be in the show notes and we'll talk about it later too. But it's Azure, Azure, printedhomes.com. So you guys can check that out on the website there. Well, first thing I thought was really interesting too, you guys are starting to use these with the homeless also, right?
My mission is to make affordable housing actually affordable. So majority of our market has been in glamping resorts, short-term stay, lots of people who flip properties. Now you can, in addition to while you're doing interior improvements, you can build an ADU in the backyard. That's majority of the market. But really, we are, our target is for 10 to 20% of our production to offer it for the not-for-profits and governments that are working on solving homeless crisis. So look, I came to this country from Ukraine, right? And when we moved to LA because I love walking on the beach. My parents did the same thing. Now, I live in a pretty nice neighborhood, but just this morning, I had to step over 2 homeless people who are sleeping on the side of the street. Venice Beach, they're top. I mean, we have 75,000 homeless in LA County. We're the most prosperous country in the world. How is it possible? And so the critics are saying, well, these people are on drugs but the reality is a lot of them end up on drugs and then drop after they become homeless, So we gotta make a change. So really kind of our mission is to help people who are in crisis. And I really consider this are people in crisis. They need temporary place that's dignified where they can get their life together, get some job skills, get off whatever they're on, because there are plenty of job openings, right? So just getting them to work. And the other thing is people in crisis. So Maui lost 2,200 homes 8 months ago. None of them been rebuilt. Istanbul, Turkey lost 270,000 homes, 60,000 trailers so far. Right here in Malibu, about 5 years ago, we lost 1,200 homes, less than half of them rebuilt. So it's just like story of, and it's getting worse. I mean, it's the fires, the earthquakes, the natural disasters are knowing worse. Again, I mentioned Ukraine. We've lost hundreds of thousands of units there, So we got to figure out a way to build faster, less expensive, and put people in places that have some dignity. Affordable housing does not need to be ugly.
Right.
One step for getting out of the crisis you're in is to have a roof over your head and to have something that's aesthetically attractive where you can feel good about yourself. So that's a mission. And so on one hand, it seems like it's desperate markets, but they all have very different looks. The units that are upper end have lots of light and lots of windows. The units on the lower end are really, we're trying to make them much, kind of low maintenance expense. The other beauty is these units can be relocated. I mean, they're light. We attach them at 4 corners and just as easy to pick up and move somewhere else. So hopefully, and the other thing is they're recyclable at the end of their life. So 20, 30, 50 years ago, plastic will last for a long time. But when it's done, or especially if it's a temporary use or emergency use, I can take the same unit and recycle and make a new unit. So it's really that's what circular economy is all about. It's can you use something and then have a plan for how it's going to be reused at a later time.
Right. I like that. What would someone expect these to cost? Say on the lower end versus the higher end?
Yeah. So a little 9 by 11 unit that can be like your backyard office is 19,900. The 2-bedroom house that's 900 square feet is under 200,000. So really big range. That's not the beauty of what we're doing. That's like, it's totally unprecedented in the construction industry. You can go through configurator, and before you're done, you know the price. There are some uncertainties. There is still needs for a foundation and utility pull up, but pretty much you will have a very good idea what the unit itself costs. So that's another kind of innovation that hasn't been seen in the construction industry. You don't need to haggle with the seller on the costs. Now you buy a volume, we'll give you a deal, but people are really pleased. Most of the people, I mean, even people who love sustainability, they still don't want to pay more than unsustainable, right? So you gotta hit both. I've been to too many lectures. I say, "Oh, sustainability costs money. I don't buy it." It's like nobody's gonna pay more because it's good for the earth. Now, if it's the same price or if it's less, yeah, I'm gonna tell my kids about it. But if it's not, so we've really been very much focused from the very beginning. It's gotta be affordable and it's gotta be good for the environment.
Yeah, I like that. It's really, really interesting because I don't see many houses like this. And I'm in this space. Like this is unique.
Brian, you're not the only one. I mean, I just came back from Nashville and had a couple people you probably know there. I mean, it's the same reaction over and over again. And I really think that, so we talk about cost sustainability, but the speed. I've been through ups and downs of real estate market. And so often the timing is what kills your investment. You think something is good today, by the time you tie it up, by the time you finance it, by the time you build it, and by the time you sell it, it could be day and night in terms of rates change, economy goes up or down. So how powerful it is to have an idea and say, all right, it'll take me 30 days to negotiate, 30 days to close, 30 days to fix it. And during this time, I could make a unit for you to go in your backyard. So in 90 days, you could have a property that's much more valuable. So for people who do flipping or wholesaling, it's an incredible value add that's within a very short period of time. It's really a game changer for people who do this at a speed and they need velocity for adding value to the property before it gets flipped.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So, hey, Gene, we're about out of time, but I wanted to give everyone your website again. It's Azure, Azure, printedhomes.com. But tell me about WeFunder before we go.
Yeah, so our crowdfunding platform is wefunder.com /Azure. It's been very successful for us. We've raised over $1 million. You don't have to be a credit investor. As low as $250 to invest, and you can be part of the future. It's amazing that people who've invested are now becoming some of our biggest customers, and the other way around. People who bought some units are now investing because they want to get the benefit on the end, and valuation is still very valuable. I mean, this is the very beginning. I mean, we're 2 years into this. So before we build a big, global company, it's an opportunity to come in kind of at a low end, become our partners. And it's amazing how even our average investment on that website is $1,000 to $5,000. But even people who invest kind of small amount of money, now they feel like they're a partner. So, when I was in Nashville, 2 of the investors came and helped me promote the product. I'm going to be in DC next week. I'm going to have the same thing. 2 of our investors are going to come in and just hang out with me and tell others about it. So it's really, really powerful. And that can be a lot of fun. So, there are all kinds of stuff that comes with it. So.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Everyone listening, we'll have those links too. One last thing, because you said you're from Ukraine. I saw something. You were on the Oprah Winfrey show, right? What were you on the Oprah Winfrey show for?
So shortly after I came here, this was in the late 80s, I resettled 6,000 refugees from Eastern Europe to Atlanta. And I did it in an innovative way. I didn't want to take any of the government money to do it. So I just basically raised money privately. Our goal was 90 days from arriving to the country to become self-sufficient. And we really believe that government help, if anything, it's not help, it hurts. So by having just a bunch of volunteers, and so that was what it was all about, is just offering opportunities to refugees. And it's more than just offering opportunities. It's setting your expectations. It's like, you're coming to this great country, Now it's on you. Don't expect somebody else to give you a giveaway, because we will help. We will energize the community around you to help you, but you better start looking for a job. You need English. You need to learn how to drive a car. Don't move in the community where you can speak Ukrainian to buy a loaf of bread. Go to your program.
Right.
And so who would ever thought that this skill will come in again handy? Here we are 35 years ago. But I just really believe in America, and America dream. And I just think that it's not just a great opportunity, it's also a lot of expectations. If you tell people what the expectation is and clear with them, and I was kind of a ass, excuse my French. I said, look, I catch you going to a welfare office, I'm going to turn you in. Not supposed to do that. It worked. I'm telling you, it was like the most successful immigration campaign ever. And people started their own businesses. They just, and I now run into them all over the world. I mean, it's amazing how just giving some tough love in the beginning works.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's really cool. I like everything you're doing. It's really cool. And I'm sure a lot of people listening too will agree. So I appreciate you coming on. Is there anything else we wanted to talk about we missed?
Brian, really appreciate you, man. Really, again, if any of your listeners are interested, I mean, I really can be a great resource on ADUs, tiny homes. The most popular model we have is unit on wheels. It basically can go into a RV park or mobile home park, or can just be a lot more communities are now allowing these units on wheels to be parked on their side for their family members. So I really want to, more important than just selling, I want to be a resource. I want to be able to help people who listen to your show. If there is a question, let them contact me through the website, and I'll be a resource on how to get the zoning, how to get the financing. A lot of positive things. Arizona and Colorado just last week signed new ADU laws. It's spreading around the country, And in my career, it's knowledge. It's not necessarily money. It's knowledge that can give you success. And so if people know how to approve them, how to finance them, how to install them, I feel it could be great opportunities for everybody. So just feel free to let me know how I can help.
Perfect. Yeah, appreciate it. Last question. What's your favorite book you'd recommend to someone?
So it's a book that was published probably before you were born, but it's still relevant. Milton Friedman's Free to Choose. Heard about this?
I have. I have not read it, though.
You've got to read it. When I came to America, it's the first book that somebody gave to me, and I loved everything about it. And then I made a goal to meet Milton Friedman for him to sign it. So both him and his wife signed it before they passed. Milton Friedman was like 5'1", maybe 5 feet.
Yeah.
And in that book, he won Nobel Prize for it, in economics. It's about freedom to choose, so really, really powerful. Highly recommend it. It's been published before I came here, but very relevant. So highly recommend it.
Nice. I'll have to check it out. That's an interesting one. Cool. Yeah. Hey, well, thanks for coming on, Gene. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Good luck to you and to all of the folks who follow you.
Hey, thanks. And everyone listening, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, get out there, crush it, close some deals. We'll see you guys.